Welcome to episode 1, season 2 of the Q&A show. We got a new pad.
We are back, season 2.
We took a little hiatus
And
fired some people.
Yeah,
We had some issues. First, location manager,
don't talk about my manager.
gone. We had to negotiate some new contracts. We had to keep Chris on board. Chris,
Yeah,
welcome
Chris
back.
really pinching
And
us for money.
we got season 2.
Yeah.
We're back.
Back.
Ready to rock and roll.
Feeling good.
So here's how the show works. You ask us questions, we answer them,
Live.
and that's it.
That's it. That's
Simple.
all there is to it.
Very simple.
You
So
drop your questions in the box below this video,
You could
and
do
then
it-
they'll end up on a future episode.
they could do it on Instagram, Facebook. Anytime you got questions,
Twitter, you
just
can
get it
Twitter
to us
that.
and we'll do it. So,
Yeah.
so let's go. Let's jump into
Let's do it. Well, this question comes in from Lorenzo. What is the best diet for fat loss? Loaded question.
Like the alkaline diet.
He basically sent a picture. If I can bring it up here on screen. He wants to look like that in 28 days or less.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to talk about more or less fat loss principles. There's
Yeah.
really no best fat loss diet. Let's put it that way. When it comes to losing body fat, there's a few principles that you're gonna want to be consistent with.
Yeah.
And then over the course of time, you hopefully will start to see a negative trend on the scale, a downward trend, so that you can lose weight.
So first of all, let's start with diet because that becomes a dirty word.
Right.
Let's talk about what it really is.
I mean, it's just a eating pattern.
Yeah.
Is what diet is. So you don't necessarily have to be in a fat loss diet. If you're trying to gain weight, if you're trying to maintain, if you're just trying to eat gluten-free, if you're trying to, eat vegetarian.
Yeah.
There's so many different diets out there, but just eating in general is a diet.
Yeah, the point is that those are all diets.
Correct.
So don't let the word
Scare you.
Yeah,
or,
exactly.
Or have a connotation towards like,
negative.
oh, we're losing
Yeah.
weight, we're trying to
or
be on.
that it's associated with one of those fads
Totally.
that's out
Good
there.
call.
Grapefruit
so,
45.
Speaking of that then, so I mentioned earlier fat loss principles. So we always talk about at Arizona Training Lab here, try to get 1 gram of protein per pound of body fat.
And that's up to, say, maybe 200 pounds, maybe?
Yeah, I'd say probably up to 200 pounds simply because, if someone was coming into the gym and they're weighing 250 pounds, we're not going to have them eat 250 grams of protein. In that case,
It's starting to get high.
it gets really high. So in that case, we want people to do either 0.8 grams per pound of body weight, or you could do 1 gram per pound of lean muscle mass. So if you find out if you're 250 pounds and you really only have 150 pounds of lean muscle mass, then you would eat 150 grams of protein. Does that make sense?
Makes complete sense to me.
Right.
As long as it makes sense to them.
They can rewind it
Yeah,
and go back to.
you might have to
Yeah.
rewind that back.
That always works. What's another principle that we talk about?
Well, we talk about we always break it down via macros here.
Right. Proteins,
so
carbs,
carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, you just want to kind of keep them
Low
in check.
to moderate.
Yeah.
Obviously, we would recommend some of the better sources of carbohydrates would be your vegetables.
Right.
Depending on the individual, you could go, like rice, oats, potatoes are all good. However, some people might have issues with those or whatever, but vegetables are always going to be kind of a staple.
Right.
When it comes to that. When we say low to moderate, you don't have to go overboard, you don't have to go zero, which some people do, but make sure you're getting enough vegetables. They're gonna provide you with more nutrients, and nutrients when you say that, vitamins and minerals, and they're just gonna be better for your overall, body.
Right. However, removing the grains, which is something we do sometimes here for the Whole 30, during the fat loss challenges, is you can shred some weight.
That can be
pretty quickly.
beneficial too. It's very difficult. You really have to do
Really
solid
hard.
prep.
Yeah.
If you prep well, you're gonna have the ability to do that. And I think another thing we wanna touch on is water.
Water's huge.
So we always try to recommend, I would say drink 0.75% or 75% of your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 100 pounds, you're going to drink 75 ounces.
Right.
There's always that notion, drink a gallon a day. If you can do that, totally cool. It's very hard to do.
Very difficult to do.
But definitely something that can be done.
And you have to train your body to do it a little bit too,
Yeah.
because you're just going to be peeing all day long.
Yeah. That's another thing. You can do 6 to 8 clear urinations a day. You're drinking plenty of water.
Yeah, and do you check the various members' urination to see if it's clear?
That'd probably be illegal in some form, but I don't. So just stick to the gallon, okay?
I didn't know how strict you were. I'm sorry.
But honestly, with that like question though, like what is the best diet? There isn't a best diet. It's just everyone's so different. It's just like when you say like what's the best way to squat? Everyone's so different that it all depends. The best diet that someone could actually do is something that they can consistently do. So if I'm to say, hey, you have to go gluten-free and every other day you eat something with gluten, you can't sustain it, then it's not going to be the best diet for you.
Which brings up another point. Old habits die hard, and it takes at least 2 to 3 weeks to develop a new one.
I mean,
21 days, they say?
21 days, they say, that just depends. But, so you have to find what works for you. If something works in the short term but doesn't work in the long term, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So when you do all these like crazy, detoxes or any of that, and I'm going to, pardon my language, any of that bullshit, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like you're going to do it for 3 days, 5 days, but then you're going to go back to, like you said, eating the way that you were before. It doesn't solve any issue.
But then the last thing I would say, if you're going to do it aggressively, come in and see Dave, because there are certain principles that we're not going to have time to talk about, like reverse dieting and dieting slowly into a certain caloric count.
There's a lot of different things.
So there are a lot of factors if it's going a little more extreme, and you definitely want to make sure that you're under doctor's supervision as well.
Boom. So new digs.
Yeah.
First episode,
Looks
season
pretty
2.
good around here.
Yeah, we're going to try to do all season 2 right here. So once again, just ask your questions. We're going to hammer these out, get you some good content, and go from there.
Yeah, sounds good. So follow us on
Instagram,
Twitter,
Facebook,
Snapchat,
and YouTube.
Yeah, all of them. And be sure to put your questions in the box below. We'll see you next time.
Take care.